Greetings, YouTubers. It's your illustrious lady, Rouge Wonderful here, and we're going to talk about the USPS. Partly. Yep, really. But this is important. The USPS is a constitutional guarantee. It's a universal service. They deliver everywhere, no matter how remote. Which is why what's happening now with sorting machines getting destroyed should piss off everyone, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. Millions of Americans get their medication through USPS, including 100% of medications from the VA. And delaying those meds could be life-threatening. People who send food through it, even if you paid for priority 1 to 3 day mail, they're still reporting delays and food is showing up rotten. Small businesses send stuff through USPS all the time. Marketplace.org even said in 2019, the Postal Service reported 70% of businesses with fewer than 10 employees used the service within the previous 6 months. Yeah, if you're worried about the economy now because mega corporations tell you to, wait until the actual backbone of America literally collapses because of this. But why now? Trump has not hidden his disdain for the USPS at all. He's been saying for years how disastrous it is and it needs to be privatized. He's one of multiple conservative stooges who think this, and it's a terrible idea for simple reasons. Surge pricing will start kicking the ass of anyone who delivers from a remote location or a small town, or it has to be delivered to or from Hawaii or any of the US territories. And you can easily see my point here. USPS has flat rates. It doesn't matter where you're sending it to, it's all the same price. But the prices start varying considerably once you go into private business like UPS. And if surge pricing doesn't turn a profit, they're more than likely to cut off those routes. Because companies like UPS, FedEx, and Amazon use USPS all the time for their last mile services. And that's simply when they pass on delivery duties to USPS because the location of the package is too far out for those companies to still turn a profit, and USPS is obligated to deliver anywhere in the US no matter what. Again, so why now? After all these years of shit talking, why wait until now to send this latest unqualified member of Taint Troll to sabotage everything? Well, like most things in 2020, it goes back to COVID, and mail-in ballot requests have been shooting through the roof all over the country, which is why he's sabotaging it now. And I could get into the endless string of hypocrisies, like how Trump says that mail-in ballots are rife with fraud, despite the fact that him and his family requested them for this election and 2 Republicans won their election through mail-in voting. That mail-in ballots are paper ballots, a thing he praised in the past for being more secure, but now claims that they can be attacked by foreign countries somehow. But at the same time, his campaign ran ads in Florida, a state he barely won, encouraging people to vote by mail, or how people in Ohio have been getting these things sent to them. Do not fill these out. I can't stress that enough. If you want a ballot request form, fill out the one from your elections office or through your state's Division of Elections website, not one sent to you through a political party. I don't care which one. I could get into all of that, but I'm not. Oh, and FYI, if anyone has ever told you that mail-in ballots and absentee ballots are 2 different things, they're really not. The terms are pretty interchangeable. But Rouge, you said that sorting machines are getting destroyed, and it affects everyone no matter what side of the aisle you're on. It does, in terms of regular mail. But the election is another story. I can guarantee that Trump is banking on more Republicans will come in for in-person voting because statistically, Republicans are less likely to see COVID as a threat to public health. And delaying the mail service, well, if your ballot shows up late, then it won't count. And I'm not saying that the USPS sabotage won't affect any Republicans who have been voting by mail for years or choosing to vote by mail for the first time now. I'm saying if you're voting by mail this year, you have options to make sure your ballot gets to you and is delivered on time. That solely don't rely on USPS. Which brings me to the main part of this video. This will be split into 2 categories: my ballot showed up on time and my ballot showed up late. But envision this as a Venn diagram because there'll be a lot of overlap. First things first, if you're voting by mail for the first time, fill out your absentee ballot request form as soon as possible. Do not wait. I highly recommend doing this online unless your state has some weird rules where you have to do this on paper. If this is your first time voting ever, you can't get your absentee ballot this election. They need your signature on file, and that means voting in person. And I can't stress this enough. If you live in these green states, check your state's restrictions because you do need an excuse to vote by mail. And while multiple states have allowed COVID-19 to be a valid excuse, at the date of this video, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Missouri haven't. And if you aren't sure what constitutes as a valid excuse in your state that needs one, call your supervisor of elections office for your county. I'll be saying this phrase multiple times. So, you fill out everything you need. Good! Also request a sample ballot emailed to you. What's a sample ballot? It's everything that will be on your physical ballot when you get it. Why? Because typically this gets emailed to you about a week before your physical ballot, and you can do any and all research you need to do regarding whatever particular thing is on your ballot. Make a list, and once you get your physical ballot, you can fill it out and mail it quickly. So for my ballot showed up on time, people. And what do I mean by on time? It means it got to your house at least a month before the election, 3 weeks minimum. But you still feel like you need to deliver it through USPS, because that might be your only option. Okay, fair enough. So what do? Mail your ballot as quickly as you can. Do not delay, which is why it's important to request a sample ballot. Oh look, you made your list and now you can fill out your ballot quickly. To offset any delays, I recommend mailing your ballot within a week of you getting it. And don't forget to make sure that your return envelope is signed and sealed. Link down below for the description of deadlines by which the elections office must receive your ballot. Some states allow ballots to be counted a few days after the election as long as they are postmarked the day of or the day before the election. Do not take this for granted. Still mail out your ballot as soon as you can. A lot of states don't allow this. Your ballot has to be received by election day, or if your state's a dick like Alabama, by election day, by noon, and the ballot has to be postmarked the day before the election. Now, if you don't want to send it through USPS, you have some other options. One of the main options is a ballot drop box. These are not connected to USPS, and I can't stress again how important it is to look up the location of ballot drop boxes for your area. If your state has early voting, then drop boxes should be in those same locations. If your state has voter ID and you go to those early polling places, have your ID on you just in case. But there should be more around, just make sure you locate them early. Check to see what days drop boxes are open and what time of day you can drop off your ballot, because your county may or may not allow ballots to get dropped off on election day, and if they do, it's definitely going to be before a certain time. Also check to make sure there's any limitations of where you can drop them off. Some counties might be fine with you putting your ballot in any drop box, but others might want you to stick to boxes in your jurisdiction, so be aware. But most importantly, make sure your return envelope is signed and sealed. If it's not, it won't be counted. So again, check your local area, and if you aren't sure, call your supervisor of elections office for your county and ask. Okay, second option. So you want to doubly make sure your ballot gets to where it needs to be. So go to your elections department office, aka supervisor of elections office for your county, and turn it in there. Again, make sure your envelope is signed and sealed, and if your state has voter ID laws, make sure you have your ID on you. You can turn your ballot in on election day at this location, just make sure you know what time they close, because it can vary, and be aware of any limitations of your state for when they can be accepted at the latest, like Alabama. An office in one county may close at 7 p.m., but the office in another county may close at 5 p.m., so make sure you know which one is which for your area. If you want to drop your ballot off early at your election department office, call and ask if you can. So now for my ballot showed up late people. It finally came, but it showed up a week before the election, or worse, a few days before the election. Well, you did the smart thing, requesting a sample ballot emailed to you and made your list of everything and everyone you were going to vote for, and not waste any more time and quickly filling it out, making sure your ballot is also signed and sealed. If it's late, do not mail it. There is no point. It will not show up on time. The options I gave before, ballot drop boxes or your elections department office, are the ones available to you. See, I told you this would be mostly overlap. But wait, I hear some of you say, your options still rely on USPS delivering the ballot at all. I'm worried it might not get to me. Is there a way I can get my ballot on time? Yes it is. Say it with me. It involves your supervisor of elections office for your county. Very good job, boys, girls, and non-binaries. Again, I don't know the limitations for every state. This might not even be an option everywhere, so call and ask. As long as you're already set to vote by mail, you should be able to pick it up at your elections department office for your county. Make sure you call and see what dates are available for you to come pick it up. You can't go there too early because the ballots won't be ready, and if you go there too late, they've already been mailed and you'll have to wait for USPS anyway. But now for the third category. I know I said there will be only two and there'll be a lot of overlap, but this is a smaller category. Now let's say your ballot was on time or late, whatever, but either way you A, changed your mind and want to vote in person now, Or B, your ballot got damaged or warped, or your return envelope got damaged or warped, or in my case, accidentally sealed because your crappy mailbox leaked in rainwater. Can you still vote? Yes. Yes, you can. And how is simple? Take your ballot, go to your voting precinct, explain what happened, give them your old ballot, and they will give you a new one so you can vote there. Now let's say regardless of the option you choose to mail out your ballot and you're still worried about it being counted. Well, if you live in these 39 states, you can track your ballot. And doing so is really simple. Just Google how to track my ballot, enter your state, and it should be the first result to pop up. Please make sure you're doing this through your state's absentee ballot tracker site or Division of Elections website. If you don't get a page asking you to fill out information, then scroll until you see voter information lookup, click on that, fill out the box. If your information still doesn't pop up, click on ballot and precinct information on the same page. Now this page has all the relevant voter info you need, including your voting precinct. So if your precinct got shut down and changed and you weren't made aware of it, now you can find out. This is how it should look. Once you fill out your request form, it's an automatic request to receive it until you need to renew the request form a few years later. The request for my ballot for the presidential primary went out February 19th. I got it February 21st. Note the election is on March 17th. The elections office received my ballot by March 2nd, meaning I mailed up my ballot within a week of getting it. Again, the election is on March 17th, a full 2 weeks before the election. So I'm good. My ballot is where it needs to be, just waiting to be counted. This is why mailing out your ballot as early as you can is imperative. Even if Trump pulled this destroying sorting machines crap at the beginning of the year, you really think I would have had too much to worry about if I gave myself what is basically 3 weeks of cushion time? And still, once you know it's gotten to the elections office before the election, you're good. And I know I was good because it tells me my ballot was counted. Now let's look at how it was for my state's election. The request for my ballot went out June 25th. I got it July 16th. So yes, later than before, but the election wasn't until August 18th. But Rouge, you say, the tabs aren't all blue like before. And yes, you're right. Like I said, my return envelope got damaged being accidentally sealed by the rain. So when something like this happens, or you just change your mind and want to vote in person, take your old ballot to your voting precinct on election day, tell them you want to vote in person, give them your old ballot, and they'll give you a new one. Just make sure you have your ID on you if you need it. Well, this is the advice I can give in preparation to vote by mail this election and for future elections. So quick recap. Fill out your ballot request form ASAP. Request a sample ballot emailed to you. If your ballot shows up on time, mail it out within a week of you getting it. If your ballot showed up on time but you don't want to mail it, or if it's late, look for your local area's ballot drop boxes. Be aware of your state's limitations for which ballot drop boxes you can use and the times you can drop them off. Or you can drop them off at your elections department office for your county, and ask what days you can drop them off other than election day. Make sure your envelope is signed and sealed and you have ID on you if your state requires it using these alternatives to USPS. Remember that most states allow you to track your ballot, and if you change your mind and want to vote in person or some part of your mail ballot got damaged, you can go to your voting precinct, explain you want to vote in person, give them your old ballot, and vote there so you can still have your vote counted. And again, have your ID on you if your state requires it. And if you're voting by mail, do not forget to have your envelope signed and sealed. And that's it. I really hope some part of this video was helpful to you. Later days.
My heart is full of hatred and loathing for your ugly faces and stupid clothing. Like I said, I hate you jerks. What a bunch of stupid jerks. I'll smack you up and stomp you down. I'll stomp you back to ugly town, or maybe I'll kick you